What's going on YouTube? So the Toyota Tacoma is a legendary truck that has really stood the test of time and remained extremely popular. Now, one of the main reasons why it's remained so popular is because you have a lot of choices when you're picking a Tacoma. And today we're with the TRD Sport model. This is one of the most popular trim choices inside of the Tacoma lineup, and we're going to go ahead and take a detailed look at this model. So let's get started. So the first place to get started here is the exterior design. Now, of course, with this new generation of Tacoma, what they've basically done is taken that classic proportion and added those modern Tundra cues. Now, regarding the TRD Sport specifically, I think the reason why this is such a popular trim is because it is really good looking. You get a lot of like sporty cues. You also get some unique elements, such as the black hood scoop you see up here at the top. This is shared with just the TRD Pro, so it's really the only mainstream model that's going to get you this hood scoop, which looks quite nice up at the top. In terms of the grille itself, as you can see, we've got that kind of classic look. Each of the models is going to have its own slight variations of this. This one's going to be finished in a matte black with the traditional Toyota logo up in the front. We also have the matte black here with our lower bumper. Speaking of this area here, you're probably noticing this large air dam. I do want to point out this is removable, and many of the other trims won't come with this standard. Since this is a more street-oriented model, it will come with this standard, but if you don't like it, you can always remove it very easily. Let's take a look at our headlights as well. Standard full LED headlights are going to be on every Tacoma of this new generation. There is an up-level version which will give you sequential turn signals. That's not going to be included here with the TRD Sport, but we do have LED fog lamps on pretty much every trim. Now, as we move over here to our wheels, TRD Sport comes with 18-inch alloy wheels. That's actually shared with the Limited for being the largest alloy wheel in the lineup. I do like the contrast finish on these. No matter what, of course, though, you're going to have pretty meaty tires. And then each model has its own unique suspension tuning as well. We have TRD Sport tuned shocks for this model. We also have kind of the flared fenders, of course, and then in terms of our mirrors, you're going to notice that you have a turn signal indicator built into them. We also have blind spot monitoring as well.
Now, here at the side of the Tacoma, I do want to just go ahead and mention your bed and cab configurations. That's an important consideration when you're looking at the TRD Sport trim level, because this is the first trim you actually get the double cab full 4-door setup as standard equipment. So if you choose those lower end models below the TRD Sport, you will actually have to option that on. So it's a nice standard feature you're getting here on the TRD Sport. As far as the beds, it's available in 5-foot or 6-foot combinations. Moving around to the rear design, with this all-new Tacoma, we certainly have a very nice look. It's kind of a baby Tundra of sorts. I think it looks absolutely phenomenal here in person. As far as some of the design elements, we have Tacoma stamped into the tailgate. Then if you check out our taillights, you'll notice these are very premium taillights, much improved over the current generation. These are full LED, including your reverse light. Very, very nice setup here. Now, dropping down to the lower area, this is actually going to be a mixture of black plastic as well as body color. We actually have an exposed exhaust outlet here on the right side for the TRD Sport. And as far as your tow rating is concerned, this vehicle is rated to tow 6,500 pounds, which is a very good tow rating for this all-new model. And it's a truck after all, so let's go ahead and talk about the bed. Now, there's quite a bit to mention back here. So if I push this button, it's actually going to power release the tailgate. This is a feature that's standard on the Limited trim level, or you can't option it onto this TRD Sport. And it has a really cool function here. You can actually just knee the tailgate, and it closes. That's the first time I've seen that on a truck. A few trucks have had power tailgates in the past, but they haven't had the knee function, which I think is a really nice touch if your hands are full and you need to close it. Now, I do also want to mention you have the tailgate or taillight release button here. I do want to mention that you have the taillight release button for the tailgate, and that's actually going to be on both taillights. So you can just walk up to it, elbow it, and open up the tailgate if your hands are full once more. Now, as far as the tailgate area is concerned in the Tacoma, you have a really nice size. This is the 5-foot bed you're seeing right here. Like I mentioned, you can get a 6-foot bed. As far as features are concerned, we do have sliding tie downs here on the side. You also have LED lighting on both sides. Additionally, we have a standard 120 volt household outlet over here on the side, and then over on this side we have a little storage cubby with some more connections inside of here. So certainly a very nice tailgate area for this all-new Tacoma. It's going to be very usable for all your truck needs. And I just really like that feature. I think that's a really neat touch. Now, I do also want to talk about your safety systems, because this is an area where the Tacoma shines. You're going to have all 4 active safety features as standard equipment on all versions of the Tacoma. So that is something very different from a lot of the main rivals like the Chevy Colorado, GMC Canyon. They're giving you that standard across the board. But guys, there's a very tech-filled and cool cabin on the inside, so let's check that out. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, now let's go ahead and move on to the interior. Take a quick look at the key fob first. Toyota's typical smart entry system. This is going to be actually included on all models with the smart key. And getting inside, just reach behind the handle. That's going to unlock the door. Now, take a look inside the all-new cabin. Of course, you're going to notice a lot of really nice elements because Toyota's put a lot of effort into improving the overall luxury inside of this Tacoma. Now, one of the places I see a lot of luxury are these seats. So when it comes to the TRD Sport, you're going to come with a standard cloth seat. However, what we have on board is the optional premium package and leather seats. I like these a lot. As you can see, inside of the perforation, we actually have some color contrast accents that are running throughout. Gives it a really nice look, feels very premium, and it's quite comfortable as well because Toyota put effort into improving the comfort of these seats for the new generation. As far as your controls here, these are going to be power adjusting when you have the leather, and we have 4-way lumbar support. But let's go ahead and climb inside. As I go ahead and climb inside here, it's a little bit of a step for somewhat of my height. That's because you don't have running boards on this model, but you can always add them to pretty much any trim level that you want to add them to. But now that we're inside, let's focus on the overall cabin materials. Now, I do want to point out, it's very important to note this is a pre-production model, which means it's kind of at the very beginning of the production run. That means some of the plastics you see are completely untextured, and that is not going to be the way that they will be in production. So when you see this door trim, you'll see it's very shiny and hard touch. That's not how it is going to be when the production model fully comes out. But this gives you the overall shape of what you'll see. As we go to the upper part of the dashboard, this is going to be a hard touch plastic. This part does have the texturing. And then we've got our storage shelf, Tacoma branding inside of a silver trim here on the TRD Sport. We have this cool new handlebar situation, which has a nice rubber grip as well. And then our lower materials are nice and solid feeling. But let's go ahead and fire it up. Now that we fired up the model, I want to go ahead and kind of dive into our gauge cluster first of all. So one of the big things with this next generation Tacoma is huge tech improvements. So you'll notice we've got the 12.3-inch digital cluster on board. This is going to be reconfigurable, so you can change out different elements of the design on this model, and it changes with the different drive modes as well. We also have the latest Toyota steering wheel, which is a steering wheel I'm a big fan of because it has a nice thick rim. It has the leather perforation out here on the sides. And the wheel itself will be manual tilt and telescoping, but we do have steering wheel heating as well. But this is a truck after all, so practicality is very important. Let's kind of get into our interior storage solutions. I'll start out under our center console. Nice size storage bin here. We do have a felt lining down there at the bottom. This is plenty of space for most of your needs here, but we do also have in front of that 2 nice and chunky cup holders for big drinks. And then up in the very front here, you'll notice that we have a completely vertical wireless phone charging pad. Your phone will actually kind of slide in there, lock into place, and charge it up. If you don't want to use that, you can also use the 2 USB-Cs over there to the side of that. Now as we kind of pull back here to the shifter, you'll notice we do have the manual transmission on this TRD Sport. When we go into reverse, you are normally going to have a traditional backup camera. We actually have the optional 360-degree camera system. This is a great camera. It's exactly the same as what we've seen on the Tundra, so you've got a ton of different views. One of my favorite views is this one right here, where we can check out what's in the back, make sure nothing is sliding around, your precious cargo or whatever blowing away. Very cool overall system, and we can even click this button here to kind of spin around the vehicle itself. Very neat. You do have your electronic parking brake with brake hold located right there. And then behind that you have your drive mode controls where you can cycle through all your various pieces of information. Now as we kind of move up the dashboard, the next place we come to our climate controls. We do normally have a single zone climate. This is a dual zone climate. It is automatic as you'd expect and very easy to use. So you've got the big chunky knobs here that feel nice and high quality. You can make all your additional adjustments over here to your modes and your fan speed if you need to take manual control with these toggles. And we have 3-stage heated seats, and not only that, 3-stage ventilated seats. I definitely like that you can take the TRD kind of elevated up to almost limited level if you prefer to do that. Now, we also have a big chunky volume knob for our audio system. Again, since we have the kind of up-level TRD Sport, this is going to give us the available JBL sound system. Now, what's cool about this system is the flex speaker. So you'll notice up there on the top of the dashboard, you've got that kind of exposed speaker, but if I press this button right here, it actually kind of raises out of place, and I can take this on the go. So this is a really neat feature here. So you can tailgate with your speaker, you can take this camping, whatever. When you're done with it, you bring it back in your truck, pop it right back into place. It's going to charge up, keep it ready to go for whatever the adventure throws at you. All right, now we can't avoid it any longer. We got to talk about this 14-inch display. This is absolutely massive, and this is going to be optional on this truck. You're already going to have a standard 8-inch display on the TRD Sport. If you like technology, though, definitely upgrade to this because, like I said, it is enormous. Regardless, though, you will still have wireless Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay via Toyota's new infotainment system, which you see right here with the nice shortcuts along the side. Now, wrapping up the front of the cabin, we do have an auto-dimming mirror. This is actually the digital camera rear view mirror, so it cuts out any rear obstructions. Normally just standard on the Limited, but we do have it optional on this TRD Sport. The same also goes for the power moonroof that you see right here. Now I want to show you guys also what the TRD Sport looks like without the premium package. So that's what this is right here. So this is what our standard cloth seat's going to look like. It's actually a very attractive cloth seat. I love the two-tone finish with the black up top, gray in the center, black here on the edge. I also have to say the seat itself feels pretty comfortable as well. The leather is a little bit more comfortable, but this is pretty comfortable. And it is going to be manual tilt and telescoping, but we do have lumbar support. Manual tilt and telescoping. The seat is going to be manual adjusting, but we do have a power lumbar support still on the driver's side. Now, in terms of other things I'm noticing about the interior, you'll see that we do have this blue accent that's going across the dash. Again, this is pre-production model, but I believe this is going to be the production trim, and it basically matches with the exterior of this specific truck, so I do like the way this overall kind of blends together. Very handsome and also sporty looking as well. And we do continue to have that nice handlebar as well.
And let's hop on back here in the rear seat area of the TRD Sport Tacoma. Now, like I mentioned on the outside, the double cab is standard, so all versions of the TRD Sport will have this rear seat. As far as the space is concerned, we are up about 1 inch in terms of overall legroom over the outgoing Tacoma model, 33.7 inches of legroom, and about 38 inches of headroom. Now, of course, here at Car Confections, we do like to give our own measures with our seat position adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8". I'm 5'9" here in the rear seats, and we're sitting at about 6 inches of knee space. Additionally, my feet they can't really slide up underneath the seat. I can poke a toe in, so just the tip is going to slide in, but not really much overall. Now, as far as this middle area, we do have 2 cup holders right here. We do have a household style outlet, which I really like. That's a very nice feature to see in a mid-sized truck rear seat. We also have 2 USB-C ports. So I think with this new Tacoma, if you can't charge something up, I think that's going to be your own problem. Now, here in the middle, no center armrest, so I am a little disappointed by that. And as far as the door trim is concerned, it's going to be the same as the front. Of course, it's untextured for this pre-production model, but we do have a ton of storage down there in the bottom. I also want to talk about storage because this is a truck after all. So if I fold up the seat bottoms, you will notice that there's quite a bit of under-seat storage. Toyota actually says this is 3 times more under-seat storage than the previous Tacoma. So there's a lot of space up underneath of here if you choose a gas version. If you choose the hybrid, that does slightly affect the amount of space, but of course the hybrids will be coming out later. The gas versions will be at the initial launch. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the all-new 2024 Toyota Tacoma. Now, of course, there's a lot going on in the powertrain section that we can't wait to show you. We will be talking about a lot of different things in this test drive, including getting our sound level readings so we can see how quiet this new Tacoma is. But first of all, we want to show you how much power it has. So let's start with the hard acceleration.
That was up to about 60 miles per hour in the new Tacoma with the turbo. So this does have a 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. That is going to be your new base configuration, replacing that previous V6. Now, what are you going to get in terms of power with this? Well, you're going to get 278 horsepower, but 317 pound-feet of torque. The horsepower itself is actually identical to the V6, but the torque is a big improvement. It's over 50 pound-feet of torque additional for this model, and that's what you're really going to feel when you get on the throttle with this turbocharged Tacoma.
Yeah. Pretty impressive acceleration. Yeah. Like Drew said, I mean, the numbers back that up, but more so than the horsepower, I definitely do feel a big torque improvement over the current generation Tacoma. It really pushes you back in your seat and allows for that kind of quick acceleration feel. Now, Toyota is calling this motor the iForce 2.4 liter turbo 4-cylinder, and they were very quick to point out in the presentation that this is not just the engine that they use in their crossover is planted here in the Tacoma. They've actually done a lot of work to improve the durability and make sure it was good for truck use. So that's something that I do want to point out here. I believe they said it was about 50% of the parts were different with this.
Exactly. And one of the things they said they did was rate the turbocharger for substantially more abuse than the standard version of the 2.4. So that's kind of why it gets that iForce branding, because it's not the same as what you get in the Tundra, but it still has that same iForce branding because it is toughened up for truck duty. I know that a lot of you guys will be concerned about that, so it's definitely worth pointing out that Toyota didn't just slap a turbo 4-cylinder in this truck without giving it any thought. They know that trucks have different demands from passenger cars.
Yeah, and I do want to point out as well that there are several different tunes of this depending on what trim level you get. If you go for the very base SR trim level, you're going to have the lowest horsepower rating. That's 228 horsepower, 243 pound-feet of torque. So quite a bit of a substantial increase if you choose at least the SR5 trim level. And then I do also want to point out if you choose the manual transmission, you're going to have a slightly lower horsepower rating of 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. And I guess that does just go ahead and spoil a little bit of a surprise with this Tacoma. It is still available in a manual transmission.
That's right.
So not only an automatic, you have a manual, and that's available on a lot of different trim levels. As a matter of fact, I actually drove a TRD off-road this morning in manual and a TRD Sport in manual. So even those higher end versions of the Tacoma can get a manual transmission if you're wanting that.
Now, Mason already talked about the manual transmission. This obviously is the automatic transmission, as you can tell. This is an important, I think, improvement from the previous generation, because you used to just have a 6-speed automatic transmission. It was down some gears from what it really needed to keep the V6 in its power band. That's really no longer going to be the case, because we've got the 8-speed automatic on board, and this transmission is much more willing and able to keep this turbocharged engine in the power band. When I put my foot down, we don't have to wait. We get more power pretty quick. We're just in the standard drive mode right now as well, and even when we're going up an incline, it's ready to go. Everything feels plenty powerful, whereas previously it felt a little strained under certain circumstances, like going up a big hill.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a huge improvement. Now, as far as how the power is routed to the ground, you have standard 2-wheel drive or optional 4-wheel drive with this Tacoma.
You can hear the turbo working, which is interesting, because of course there's never been a turbo in a Tacoma before.
Yeah, and I'll say it doesn't sound like exactly the same as the 2.4 turbo in other Toyota models. I think they've done a good job of kind of tuning it for truck duty to make it sound a little bit more tough and masculine. It doesn't sound as strained, that's for sure. Now, I do also want to talk about your ride quality. Now that we're just kind of cruising along on this canyon road, it's absolutely gorgeous drive here, but as far as the ride quality is concerned, we have a new multi-link rear suspension, which that's a big improvement for most versions of the Tacoma over the previous generation model. And just riding in here, I do indeed feel a difference. We've spent pretty extensive time with the current generation Tacoma, and ride quality was not its strong suit that way, and I think this is a big improvement. Now, if maximum ride quality is what you're looking for, go for the limited trim level, because that will actually have an adaptive variable suspension, which is the first time that's been offered on a Tacoma, and that will further increase your ride quality. Hopefully we'll have the chance to maybe get behind the wheel of that today and show you guys what that looks like.
Right, all the different Tacomas really have different suspension setups, so you will certainly feel differences between each version. We had some seat time in the TRD off-road. I think that this version, the TRD Sport, the more street-oriented one, does seem like it transmits less vibrations into the cabin. So it's one of those things, if you get the chance, you might want to drive different versions, kind of see which one's going to have the best balance for what you want to use it for, because you've got a lot of different choices in this lineup. And if you're wondering about any information regarding the hybrid powertrain, that of course is a option that's going to be offered. That is not available currently at the time of this drive event that we're on. It will be coming on sale early next year, I believe, what Toyota
it's
has
actually said. Spring of 2024 is when the hybrid model will go into production. That's, of course, your higher-end versions. The TRD Pro, the Trail Hunter trim level, those will come standard with that hybrid powertrain setup. You can also option it, I believe, onto the Limited. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we're not able to really comment on that just yet. That will be available. I'll just go ahead and read the power figures off to you if you're curious. That's 326 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque. So that would be the most powerful Tacoma ever. So obviously a lot of you guys are very excited for that. Stay tuned to our channel. We will be driving one of those hybrid Tacomas coming shortly, hopefully. But as far as just this drive, we're only able to comment on the iForce powertrain, which will be available at the launch of this. And I do want to just go ahead and talk about the fuel economy for this model. We're going to be sitting at decent fuel economy. It's certainly not the move to the 4-cylinder isn't going to get you like crazy good fuel economy, because this TRD Sport model that we're sitting in today with the automatic transmission with 4-wheel drive, we're going to be sitting at around 20 miles a gallon combined. So not a huge difference from the current Tacoma model in terms of the fuel economy department, but of course if you want the better fuel economy, I would recommend probably getting the hybrid version that will be coming out later, although the EPA has not officially rated that yet. And the part that you guys have been waiting on, our Car Confection's signature sound level reading going 55 miles per hour. Let's go ahead and dive into that. So now we're at 55.
I'm going to try to keep it steady at 55. There's a lot of corners and hills here in Malibu, obviously.
That was a good stretch. 58.1 decibels is our official Car Confection sound level reading in this all-new Toyota Tacoma. Now, of course, it is worth noting we're here in California on the national media launch of the new Tacoma, so of course this is not our home stretch of roads. I would imagine it would be a little bit quieter back home. However, 58.1 decibels is not a bad sound level reading whatsoever, especially for a mid-sized truck. And I don't have to sit here and guess either, because I can actually go to carconfections.com/sound level readings, and on our website we have all of the sound level readings for all this vehicle's competitive products, including the all-new Colorado, the all-new Canyon, and those trucks, to see how this compares. And another one of our Car Confection's signature elements would be our airball and slam dunk. Drew, do you want to kick us off with the slam dunk for this Tacoma?
Yeah. So the slam dunk is going to be the amount of versions that you can get of this Tacoma, even without factoring in the Hybrid Max powertrain, which you'll be able to get later on. You can configure this in an enormous number of ways, and you can match or mix and match different types of materials, trim levels, designs, automatic manual transmission. You can really make this Tacoma exactly what you want, and I think that's one of the reasons this has been so popular through all the years.
And as far as our airball is concerned, the one area that we're a little disappointed in is the amount of space. A lot of these mid-sized trucks have grown quite a bit in terms of the overall size, and especially in the rear seat area, whereas this Tacoma really didn't grow much for this all-new version. The rear seat is still going to be quite tight, so if you're going to be hauling around adults in the rear, a lot of times it might be a little less than ideal in this Tacoma. And the last thing I do want to mention here would be your warranty. This, of course, is going to be protected by Toyota's signature warranty, which is going to be a 3-year 36,000-mile basic, 5-year 60,000-mile powertrain. You do also get 2 years of complimentary maintenance as well. And let's talk pricing for this 2024 all-new Tacoma. Now, the TRD Sport does have a pretty attractive price point, so let's go ahead and dive into that. We are going to start at a little under $40,000 for the TRD Sport with two-wheel drive. If you choose four-wheel drive, that's going to, of course, elevate that price to a little bit above $40,000. And as far as this model with the premium package, unfortunately, we don't have like a official window sticker for this because this is just a pre-production model. I would guess that it's going to be in the upper $40,000 price point, given the level of equipment that you're getting with the premium package and when you fully load out the TRD Sport as we have today. And if you're looking to buy a Toyota Tacoma or any new vehicle, I would recommend, if you're a smart shopper, going to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that connects you with local dealers in your area to get you the best price on your new vehicle. Additionally, you're going to get access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealer negotiation. And if you want to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description. And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on our in-depth review of the 2024 all-new Toyota Tacoma in its TRD Sport trim level. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you help get us invited to launch events like this where we can come out to Malibu, California and drive the all-new Tacoma before you're able to see it at dealerships to show you guys what it's all about and see if you want to order one yourself. If you're already a part of our family and are a loyal subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support because you do make this all possible. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.